Hey everybody. This is a reminder overview of the Abrahamic religions using the slideshow that's posted online. Abraham, who is Ibrahim in Arabic, who was originally named Abram, married to Sarai, who becomes Sarah, was spoken to by God and promised the land of Canaan if he followed this one God and his descendants do the same. God promised also that he would be the father of nations. Here we see the land of Canaan, which is in current day Israel. God did promise that Abraham would father nations, and as such, he made it possible for Abraham and Sarah to have a child despite the fact that they were about 99 and 91 years old, respectively. Before Sarah gave birth to Isaac, though, she, believing that she was too old to procreate, suggested that Abraham sleep with their maidservant Hagar. And Abraham did, and Hagar got pregnant and had the son named Ishmael. As such, the covenant between God and Abraham was fulfilled. He had sons who would in turn have children, who would in turn have children, etc., and they would be God's chosen people. At one point, after Isaac is born, Sarah, Abraham's wife, gets tired of Abraham paying attention to Hagar and Ishmael and sends them off, tells Abraham he must get rid of Hagar and Ishmael. And Abraham does. He takes them out to the desert and leaves them. This is a story for another time, but it is a central story in the religion of Islam. The role of sacrifice in the story of Abraham is quite significant to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In short, God tells Abraham to sacrifice his son. This means to kill his son and offer him up to God as a sacrifice. As you know, Abraham always wanted children. He and Sarah could not have children until this covenant with God. So to ask him to kill his son was quite a task. This task was also a major test. God was testing Abraham's faith. So Abraham took his son and was about to slit his throat, and the angel Gabriel came and stopped him. That's what you see in this Rembrandt painting here from 1635. The angel Gabriel stopping Abraham just as he was about to kill his son. Now I keep saying his son as opposed to Ishmael or Isaac because it's unclear. Jews and Christians believe that Abraham almost sacrificed his son Isaac. Muslims believe that Abraham almost sacrificed his son Ishmael. Here is a vertical picture of what we drew horizontally on the board when we're talking about the monotheistic Abrahamic religions. They are Judaism and Christianity, which trace their way back to Abraham through his son Isaac, and Islam, which traces itself back to Abraham through his son Ishmael. Now, the conception of God in all Abrahamic religions is quite similar. For all three, there is one God. That's what monotheistic means. In two of the three, God is singular, meaning one whole entity. Christianity is the odd duck out there in believing that God is a trinity as well as a singular whole. Most Christians believe that there is God the Father, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and the Holy Spirit, which is the essence of God on earth, but not in human form. Whereas Judaism and Islam reject that concept of a tripart God. All three believe in salvation or the promise of something better after this life, and that to get there, they do so by pleasing God. This stands in contrast to Buddhism, in which we learned that both the greatest challenges and evils are within us as individuals, as well as salvation, or the idea of reaching some sort of higher existence like nirvana. That is within us in Buddhism. In Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, it's externalized. It is God who has the power to save us. Lastly, all three Abrahamic religions believe that God reveals himself through prophets. A prophet is simply a human being that God has spoken to or through. And Jews, Christians, and Muslims all identify prophets, human beings that God has spoken to. I've talked about Christians' concept of the Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, making this distinction between Christianity and Islam particularly clear is this phrase here: God does not, quote, beget progeny. To beget is not just to reproduce or to have in a sort of man and woman have sex and a child is produced kind of way, although beget can mean that as well. But more generally, to create or to make. Progeny is offspring. So in Christianity, Jesus is talked about as God's only begotten Son. Islam makes it clear that its indication, its conception of God, does not include a God who would divide himself or recreate himself in any way. There are clearly many similarities between, I should say, among Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and this would lead one to believe that there is great solidarity, great sense of community and shared values among the three. This is the case among some. However, there are specific pivot points in the stories of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, points of divergence, if you will, that caused Christianity to split off from Judaism and Islam to emerge, not as a type of Judaism or Christianity, but instead as a separate religion. So there is some antagonism, some tension between and among the three.